Welcome to One World Countless Story podcast with me, Selena Novello. Hello, welcome to another YouTube video. I'm so excited that you are here. Thank you so much for supporting me throughout this journey. It has just been so exciting. And if you haven't already, don't forget to click the subscribe button, like this video, leave me a comment. Let me know what resonated with you. I'm really curious and excited to get some feedback from all of you guys and see how you guys are enjoying each video. So today I am sharing another podcast episode from my One World Countless Story podcast, which you can watch on here or listen anywhere you listen to your podcast. Today I will be sharing Ash Springer's story. I am so excited for you to hear him. I met Ash Springer through my best friend Elijah, and we have been friends for a very long time. We met in elementary school and we were friends throughout high school, and it was just amazing. And I'd heard little glimpses and little pieces of his story when we would hang out, because we were also family friends. So that means our whole family was friends with their whole family. And so I got to hear a little glimpse of his story, and they are just truly inspiring. He just talks about his different career paths and how he did a bunch of different things before he found what he really wanted to do. And he's still trying new things every single day. So let's get right into it. Welcome.
Thank you. As you said, my name is Ash Springer. I was born and raised actually in Calgary. Parents are from Trinidad, both of them. I was born here. It's just me. I have no brothers and sisters. And And now I have a family with 3 boys. So life has changed quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's start with your childhood. Can you give us a little glimpse into what that was like for you?
It was really good, actually. My parents were quite involved. We had a strong family connection. My dad had one brother here in Calgary, and so I had 3 cousins here that grew up more like brothers and a sister than cousins. So we did lots of activities, lots of camping. I did lots of sports. I started out as a gymnast, and I did that at a pretty high competitive level. So I did lots of that. I did a bit of traveling because of sports too. So I got to do that as well. So sports and family was a lot to do with my childhood. And I grew up, my first part of my life, I grew up in the northeast of Calgary until I was about 12. And then I moved down south to South Calgary, the Deer Run area. And then most of my teen years were down there.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, lots of fun. There's a place down there called Fish Creek Park. We used to hang out there and do some adventuring, rollerblading, biking, all kinds of outdoorsy stuff. So I've always been kind of a outdoorsy sports kind of person.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you were saying you were a gymnast. What was that like for you?
It was really good. It taught me about routines, taught me about discipline. It was my first introduction to working hard or working towards goals, setting goals. Mm-hmm. I had a coach that was there for most of my career, and he was a good coach. He pushed really hard. He pushed the best out of me, even though I didn't want it sometimes. So it's rare to find people like that in your life, but at least I had an opportunity when I was younger to have somebody like that. So gymnastics, it took me across Canada. Met lots of people, met lots of friends.
Did it take a lot of your time?
It did. I would go to school, and then when I was really young, I think I only spent 2 hours after school doing it. But when I got older, it was close to 4 hours every day after school.
Wow.
So there was quite a bit of a time commitment. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
So from school straight to the gym, and then home and try and do homework.
Yeah.
So gymnastics is usually quite a big commitment.
So what was school like for you?
What was school like?
Mm-hmm.
It, I don't know. I think it was pretty average for me, same as most people. Obviously, I was a little bit different than everybody else, but I mean, it didn't really make a difference in school for me that I noticed at a large scale. But yeah, I just especially like elementary, just playing in the park with kids. Junior high, being a little bit more adventurous, trying out new things.
Mm-hmm.
High school, I went to high school downtown Calgary, so that was interesting. It was quite the commute to get down there, but it was a good school. It was Western Canada High,
Mm-hmm.
so you got to meet people from all over the city, which was really interesting because every other school is kind of just people around you and people from your neighborhood.
Right.
But when I went to high school, there was people from every corner of Calgary, and yeah, some were rich, some were poor, just kind of everybody in that school. So it was really interesting. You got to meet a little bit of everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was an okay student, but not a scholar, that's for sure.
That's good. So did you have like any difficulties in school with friends or with like your crazy schedule?
I think when you're doing lots of gymnastics, a lot of sports, it's balancing between school and sports, and I think that's a constant struggle with every athlete that is every student athlete is what I should say is finding that balance between school and your sports. I tended to lean more towards sports because I just love sports more than I did school. So, but yeah, you got to find that balance, and that's one of the biggest challenges.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Balance is so important because you can burn out really easily if you don't.
Like exactly.
Yeah. All right. So what was it like after you graduated high school?
For me, it was a bit of a search. It was kind of trying to find out what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go next. I had a few ideas that I tried to explore, um, but like I still after high school, I still wanted to play football. I played high school football, and I still wanted to pursue that. So I tried for like a junior college type team or a junior team,
Mm-hmm.
and I played that. But I found that I just needed to start working after that. So I started working um, right after high school. I chose to work instead of play sports, and yeah, that's when basically not my work career started, but it was when I started working full time. I guess I always had part time, a couple of part time jobs in school. But
Mm-hmm.
after high school, I started working full time. So
I just gonna say that I was super interested to hear your career path and all the different things that you've done. So I'd love if you could kind of take us through, what you did right out of high school, your first job, all the way to like everything you tried and did.
okay, you're testing my memory. This is good. Let's see how it goes. So right out of high school, I went to work for a company called Loomis Courier. It's like I think it's called DHL now. It's a courier service. So you put something in the mail, they courier it. A van comes, picks it up, or truck, and they take it to the warehouse. So I worked in the warehouse,
Mm-hmm.
and basically packages would come in. My very first day was the worst day ever. They basically put you in a trailer and throw 1,000 packages at you, and you got to stack it all. So it's like a big game of Tetris.
Yeah.
So if you're not fast enough, you just have a big pile of boxes in front of you. So that was a introduction to the real world. No one's going to help you. You just got to figure it out and do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you unload trucks, you sort packages, and not a glorious job, but coming out of high school, it paid decent money. So, and the guys were kind of fun to be around too. It was a buddy that got me that job. So got to learn what it was like to work in a fast paced environment and work with a crew. So
Mm-hmm.
I think after Loomis Courier, I think I actually started working at a liquor store after that. Started working at a liquor store a lot closer to home. I did that. Yeah, I did that for a while. And from there, I got interested in healthcare. So I took a personal care attendant course. It's not a LPN. It's like it's the one step just below that, or
Yeah.
just different. You're just
Yeah.
I think it was, can't remember what it's called, but it's similar to an LPN position, but not quite as complicated. So I did that for a while.
And where did you do that education?
I did it through SAIT. Like I registered through SAIT,
Okay.
but it was a course kind of on its own.
Okay.
I went to it was separate from the SAIT campus,
Mhm.
and it had its own building. I think it was just down the street from SAIT, though. It was on 14th Street, so
Okay.
that was a long time ago. That was a lot. That was a great course. Actually, I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
I enjoyed working in healthcare. The reason I'd gone into it because I was thinking of becoming a paramedic, and I'd heard good things and bad things about it. So I just kind of wanted to get my feet wet in the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
I find that I've done that in different jobs too. You just kind of get your feet wet in the industry and then decide where you want to go, especially if you have no clear direction of this is what I want to do.
Right.
So I've gone into different industries and done the same thing. So yeah, I took that course, and I was working in long-term care centers. Care West was a big one that I worked for. And I worked with people with dementia. That was a very interesting part of my life. You learn a lot from people who have not a disability, but have lived a full life, and now they're having difficulties remembering. You see the impact that dementia has on people's family, the impact it has on husbands and wives, and it can be sad and it can be happy all at the same time.
Right.
The toughest part is probably when in dementia, when they regress, when they think they're kids again, or they think they're young adults,
Mhm.
and they're staring at their own children who are grown, but they're talking about them as if they were still 6 years old. You gain lots of experience, a lot of perspective when you deal with those kind of situations, right?
Yeah.
So you learn to have a lot of patience for people and understand the feelings that they're going through, and still try to help them and assist them,
Mhm.
guide do whatever they need. So after working for Care West, I believe I went to work in the group home situation. So I worked in a group home for a company called URSA. And that was younger individuals with disabilities. This is cerebral palsy, just different kind of disabilities, but a much younger age group. So I worked as an assistant manager at one of the group homes, eventually became a manager of a group home. You usually had about 6 people. And then I also became a manager of a program called U2, and this was unwilling and unable. It was just a couple of guys, but they had a unique situation where they were ordered by the court that they had to have people with them at all times, 24/7, because of their unique situation, I should say. Can't go into too much detail about the unique situation because I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to talk about it at all.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Somewhere in there too, I was working a couple jobs. I went back to the liquor store, worked there a bit. That's where I met my wife, Anna. As you know, we met while working together. She was my boss, probably still is.
I actually didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah, the same liquor store that I started at years back, I went back to it.
Mhm.
And the second time I went back to it, that's when I met Anna. She was the assistant manager, and I came back to work. So that's how we met. We met working in the Deer Run Liquor Bar. That's what it was called.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So lots of different jobs. After URSA, after the U2 program, I was kind of getting burnt out from that. By that time, I had a young family. I think all the boys were under the age of 5 still. They were pretty young, and I was getting phone calls and stuff about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning that my clients were trying to escape and stuff like that. And it wasn't really what I didn't feel comfortable having it with a young family, so I tried to switch. And that's when I left healthcare altogether, and I kind of moved more towards the trades. So I'd left person, I'd moved to a company, Ellis Don. It was my first construction job. And I was a laborer for Ellis Don. Worked on the flyer crew. A flyer is basically like a big scaffold with a big deck, and they build it up and they pour concrete on it. And once the concrete's set, they drop them down, hook them to a crane, fly them up to the next level, and reset and repeat and pour the next floor. I also poured a lot of concrete and help with the cranes and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that for a few years. It was a lot of fun. Like, I worked downtown. I built a couple of towers downtown. I worked at the university, built I think it's the EEL building. It's in electrical engineering. So I worked at the university, built a couple hospitals or small clinics. I think I worked at the Colonel Belcher a little bit. Did quite a bit. I worked at the airport with Ellis Don. So I worked at quite a few different sites and did some different things with Ellis Don. From Ellis Don, I wanted to try something new. So I worked for a company called Overhead Doors. So I started installing overhead doors, basically your garage doors. That was the residential side, and I did some commercial ones. Have you ever, and also there's like these steel kind of roll, like they roll into like a drum.
Right.
All those as well. After overhead doors is when I went into oil and gas. I only did overhead doors for about a year. One of the persons that got me on there had a controversy with the company and then was dismissed. So didn't feel really comfortable being there since he was the one that brought me on. So I started looking again. And yeah, I got into the trades and I started working at the gas plant just outside of Cochrane at Jumping Pound. There I met some great guys, and they were in the pipe fitter trade. I met some millwrights too, the trade, and I was looking to pursue both of them, but they only offered one. So at that time, so that put me in the pipe fitter, steam fitter trade. And then I went up north, and I was just a pipe fitter, only doing pipe fitting. So gained a lot of experience. I was there for almost 5 years as well. I got my ticket while I was up north.
Was that through school again? Like, did you have to get school for any of these trades?
For the pipe fitter, steam fitter, I had to go back to SAIT.
Okay.
So when I did it, right now it's a 4-year program. When I did it, it was a 3-year program. So block number 1, I challenged it. It took me a couple times, but I passed. And then I went to school for 2nd and 3rd year.
Okay.
So I graduated from SAIT in 2016, and I've been a Red Seal journeyman pipe fitter since 2016.
Nice.
So about 5 years now. So yeah, that was my post-secondary. My first post-secondary graduation. That was after having a family and kids. Now, I kind of left it out, but after high school, I did go to Mount Royal. It was Mount Royal College at the time.
Yeah.
For about a year, but I wasn't quite sure. I think I took a business commerce transfer program to U of C, but that didn't interest me at the time.
Right.
So that was my two attempts at post-secondary. I did a bit of a business degree, but then I went back to SAIT. Then I actually graduated as a steam fitter, pipe fitter.
All right. Okay. Awesome. So that, like, you got so many tools in your toolbox, like you can do it all almost. It's so crazy.
I wouldn't say I could do it all, but I've been exposed to a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that. The more you know, the better off you are.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't say I could do it all. There's always way, way too much to learn, and being exposed to doesn't mean that you can do it well. That's the difference. Like, you have to actually train and do things over and over to do it well. But to be able to recognize and adapt to different situations because of what you know or what you've been through, that has always helped me out.
So why do you think you were changing so much? Like, you were switching things up? Obviously, there was some reasons for like family stuff, but like, do you think there was something that was inside of you that was like, I need to try something new? Like, what do you think that was from?
I think it's not that I had to try something new. I think I was just never afraid to try something new. And I was always trying to better myself. I think I'm a bit of a dreamer as well. I always dreamed of doing this or doing that. Sometimes you feel in that path though, sometimes you feel really stuck. Um, I found that if I felt stuck, if I felt like I wasn't going anywhere, if I wasn't improving, that I needed to change. And a lot of times when you feel stuck, you don't know what you want to do or how it's going to change or what's going to make it better. Sometimes you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel until an opportunity presents itself.
Right.
And I found if there was an opportunity that presented itself and it seemed like a good challenge, I usually jumped on it. So that was often one of the reasons why I would change. So,
Right.
yeah. Was it good or bad? Hard to say.
Yeah.
It maybe if you stay with one thing all the time, you become an expert at it. Or if you try different things, then you get more of a well-rounded career, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Each of his own.
Yeah. So was there like one, or obviously there's probably more than one, but was there like a major challenge that you faced in your life that was very difficult for you?
Raising a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And that would drive some of the change, but I always wanted to stay ahead. I always wanted to do the best for my family. A lot comes down to earning money. I wanted to give them the same life or a similar life to the one that I grew up with,
Mm-hmm.
lots of experiences, lots of opportunity, just making sure they not having the best of the best, but having a life that to remember, I guess, to live, just to enjoy, have good times, have difficult times, have challenges,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So to provide all that, and not have like a path that I guess I was put on and I knew I was going to do, and I knew how much I was going to make all the time, and to do that and provide for a family, that got difficult at sometimes, very difficult, but I've made it through so far. So
what do you think, how do you think you overcame those challenges?
Sometimes just working through it. Definitely talking to others is a big help. You got to talk to other people that have been through similar situations. Talking to your parents, you never even know what your parents go through. Like they may have done the exact same thing that you've done, and you just never asked them about it either. And to get advice from your parents that you didn't even know about, that they've gone through, that you're going through, affects you quite a bit. It helps out quite a bit. Even family members, brothers, sisters, cousins, talking to them. I'm not a big person on talking about my problems to friends and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I often, if I really needed it, I went to family usually.
Right. So, can you tell us a little bit more about your family life? I'd love to hear what it was like to raise 3 boys.
It was fun, actually.
Yeah.
My boys, all 3 boys, got into sports, and I was a big sports fanatic, pretty much. So a lot of my time of growing up was, or of them growing up was, coming home from work, taking them to this practice, taking them to that practice, going away to tournaments. Before they all got into competitive sports, I tried to just expose them to all different kinds of sports. They even did dance for a little while. They had a boys group for dance, and I just really wanted to expose them to as much as I could, and let them choose a path that they wanted. And all 3 of them kind of chose their own sporting path. And then for me, it was great. I love going to sports. I like when the kids say that I'm their greatest fan, and I'm the loud dad that's at every, that guy that's yelling. Yeah, usually that's me. So, want to join his hockey games. I had I was the loud dad, and then I got 30 other dads and moms to start yelling too. So that's one of my greatest sporting accomplishments, to get everybody. I still do it. Even even Elijah, one time we were in Edmonton, and he was doing a play for rugby sevens and tackled somebody at almost the goal line and then ran across the field. And in the video, all you can hear is me screaming the whole time. So, and the boys growing up in wrestling too, all their videos, I'm yelling. So I'm quite the fanatic when it comes to the boys, and I just tried to stay involved with them a lot. I was hard on discipline, but then I found that I was showing love as much as I could too. So I tried to find, again, balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were a busy family, but that was good. It kept us busy, kept us all engaged, kept us going.
Yeah.
The boys. We haven't traveled all over the world, but we usually went on some sort of camping trip. We've hung out with you guys lots, and we tried to, even though there was lots of sports, definitely have our family time. That was always been major important thing in our lives, is having time for just us.
Mm-hmm. And so why do you think family time was so important for you?
It grounded us. It made it all worth it. It made the tough days. I've had lots and lots of tough days, but I really couldn't talk about it or have lots of details because I don't really remember them. I know I've had lots of tough days, excuse me, but that's not what I remember. I remember all the good times.
Yeah, that's very important, because I know a lot of people will kind of, sit in the bad stuff and not really look at the good stuff. But I just think that's so cool that you're there was rough days, but you remember the good times, which is so cool.
There's no point in dwelling on bad stuff. You have to learn from them. You can't totally forget them. Those bad times are there for a reason. You gotta learn your lessons and move on. But yeah, I don't dwell about the bad times. Here's an example of a tough time when the kids were babies, and you're trying to put them to sleep. You may have to work the next day, but if you got to rock one of the boys to sleep for 2-3 hours, you got to rock him to sleep. You might be exhausted the next day, but I don't remember being exhausted the next day. I remember doing what I could to make sure my son went to sleep, or one of the boys went to sleep. So that's kind of an example of that memory. Mm-hmm. So. And I don't think my times are any tougher than anybody else's. Everyone else has got their own story. I don't think I had it extremely bad, but there are definite challenges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What would you say is the biggest lesson you learned in your life? One of the biggest lessons, and from what?
From everything. Having patience. Having patience is a big thing. Being able to listen to others is a big thing too. I think being able to listen is the biggest thing that I've learned from relationships, that everybody's got the idea. Everybody's got their own ideas. Everyone wants to voice their opinion, but you have to be able to do that and listen. Communication has to be a two-way street. That's one of the biggest things, patience and communications. I have young guys ask me, how do you make your relationship work? I say communication. That's the number one thing. Communication and date nights and patience. Yeah. So, with my relationship, I think date nights are important. And I think with family relationships, taking the boys out for not a date, but going to the movies, or just spending one-on-one time, or a lot of times we just played sports because that's what we do. We will go outside, me and the three boys, and play soccer or play football, or nowadays we've started lots of fishing, and that's our time, right? Mm. Yeah. So, barbecues, that's a big one too. Eating. Wow. Food is huge. Thank you. Food is huge in our house. Family dinners are a major thing. So hope that answered your question. I kind of veered off there.
No, it did. And I think I have another question off that. It sounds like you've created a really great foundation as well. So do you think that doing that foundation has made a big difference in the way your family works?
Yeah, absolutely. Foundation is key. That's an interesting question. Yeah. To me, foundation is key, because if you have a strong foundation, no matter what happens in your family or in your life, you can handle it, right? Because you can always go back to that foundation. And that's what I mean. Like when I was struggling and I said I didn't really talk to friends all the time, I went to family because that was my strong foundation.
Right.
I tried to build a strong foundation. So if my boys have trouble, they can come to me. And that's their foundation. So yeah, like, that's what traditions are about. That's, just developing that atmosphere that, if you need something, you can always come ask. You can always have that foundation to come back to, or, a bit of a routine that even if things seem crazy, it'll go back to like a regular routine, your foundation. So, yeah.
That's a great answer. I love that. So do you think that there was ever like a really major point in your life where you were like, you didn't know if you could make it, if you were going to be able to keep going? Was there a point in your life like that?
I think before I actually got into oil and gas, I felt like that quite a bit. Like, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely felt like that quite a bit. Most of it was about money. Am I going to be able to support this family, and it's growing? Will I be able to grow with it? I think that was my biggest struggle. And I still at that point wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. And that was kind of the construction period, and going from healthcare to construction. Just before I went to construction, that was a really tough time in my life as well. Not knowing I wasn't really happy where I was, and it wasn't going to go any farther. I'm not good when you hit ceilings, like you get to the top of a position and you can't move anymore. I struggle with that. So that was definitely, I think that was one of my biggest struggles. Was at that point, there'd be some days I'd just be with my head down, hands and head down, be like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So, but yeah, it all worked out in the end. It was just something I had to go through, right?
Yeah, I think I have a pretty big question for you. So I know like you have been constantly trying to better yourself and do more things and grow. And along the journey, obviously you've had to risk, I guess, leaving a certain career or something you built and move to something else. So my question is advice for younger people who are maybe just coming out of university, who have no idea what they want to do, but there's like probably some pressure on them. Like what's your advice for someone like that?
Get into something. Don't sit and think about it. Try different things. When you don't know what you want to do, you need to try different things. Like you have to, if you have a slight interest in it, try it. Try it. If it seems like a good idea, if it seems like it'll make you good money, try it. That's what I would suggest coming out of university. Try it. When you're young and you're just coming out of university and you've got no family of your own, that's the time to take lots of risks. That's the time to find your passion. Try different things. Like if you try it for 6 months and don't like it, that's okay. Switch to another one. Like just don't feel that you have to come out of university and just do one thing for the rest of your life. I have two sons. One son who had a clear path of exactly what he wanted to do, and he's pursuing that. But I know even his path is going to change. I can see it changing before his eyes. I have another son who's not quite sure what he wants to do yet, and that's my advice to him. You got to try different things. You got to grow that passion. Don't be afraid to try different things, because even if you don't pursue it, you'll take the knowledge from that job. You'll take the knowledge from that career, and you'll apply it at the next one. So that would be my advice to anybody coming out of university. Or go to work for a little while and go back to school. Get more education. Yeah. That would be my second piece of advice. If you don't like what you're doing, it's okay if you have different degrees. Like me, I still want to go back and get another ticket myself, because it'll just open up more doors for me. Right. So the more education you can do, open up more doors. But go and work for a little while, get some experience. And then, you could even go back to school and take another degree or take another program, or just upgrade on the skills that you have, specialize. Funny story is we went to an orthodontist the other day. And this guy had like 4 degrees from 4 different schools.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, super smart, but like he got his Bachelor of Science, then he got some surgery, and then he got something else, and then he got something else. Then he specialized in ortho. So, I mean, lots of people different. And I was like, that's great. That's just keep going to school and keep learning or keep taking different programs. So,
Yeah, and I think what I'm hearing through this also is that it's never too late to go back to school, and it's never too late to try something new. Am I right?
absolutely. Always a good time to try something new. Um, and it doesn't have to be something totally different either. It could just be something slightly different from what you're already doing. Because if you're an expert in something, especially people who are into sports or into theater or into art, like people who like to challenge themselves, it's always good to switch it up a little bit because otherwise you get bored.
Right.
And there's nothing worse than being bored in your career and you're like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing, humdum over and over and over. Then you're not growing anymore. And a lot of people struggle with that, I find.
Right. Yeah. Because I think sometimes it takes getting out of your comfort zone, which is very difficult. Because I think at least in my experience, when I've been in school is so comfortable and I feel safe, but, changing it up or doing something different feels so scary. And it's like out of my comfort level.
Yeah. I have a little thing that because I've done that so many times is I just call it, I don't really have a name for it, but that scary feeling of a new job or that uncomfortable feeling, I found every time that I changed, I was like, okay, I know this feeling is coming of uncomfortable, a bit scared or whatever, but I know in a month or two, I'm going to be at that point where I'm comfortable again. So you just think about that place where now I'm going to learn something, going to adjust, going to learn a new program, learn a new procedure, and then I'm going to be comfortable again in 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months.
Right.
So I find that's always helped me through that uncomfortable period. That I'm uncomfortable right now, but 6 months from now, I'll be like, oh, you'll just turn around, look back, and be like, hey, I'm comfortable where I'm at.
Yeah.
I've been here for a while. I know what I'm doing. So
that's right.
That has always helped me through those uncomfortable changes.
Yeah, it's great advice. So can you tell me something that has happened recently to you that you've like, maybe it's an accomplishment that you feel really proud of?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
It was something I was very proud of a couple of years back. I think it's 2 years now.
Okay.
I definitely let kind of my fitness go, and I gained a lot of weight. And then 2 years ago, I lost it all. It was great. It's something like no matter how busy I was, no matter how hard I was working, I had no more excuses. I'd taken control of my health, and I was very, very proud of that. I've since gone back the other way. So that's what I mean by yes and no. So
right.
But I know I can do it. So
yeah,
taking control of my health and doing something for me, because I found I always like to give, and be there for the family. But I actually did something for me that was very healthy and very positive. So I missed that. So I got to get back to it. So, but I was very, very proud of that accomplishment.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. Would you like to elaborate on your health journey? I'd love to hear about it.
My health journey, it's really about commitment. It's really about being there, not just physical and just exercising, but being there mentally. And I found this last bit of gaining weight is because you can't ever stop either. You have to continuously stay healthy. It's not something you can just do for 6 months and then stop for 6 months. It doesn't work that way. It was a hard lesson to learn, but it's got to be something like once you commit to it, you got to commit to it for life. I found that worked best for me for becoming healthy was I've read a lot of books. Well, not actually, I shouldn't say I've read some books. I use YouTube. I used intermittent fasting plus exercise plus just eating healthier. I often do, over my lifetime, I've done lots of different fasts. I like one called Whole30. It just eliminates all sugar out of your body. I like to do that at least once a year. It's just kind of a reset for the body.
Right.
There's a fast called the Master Cleanse. I haven't done that for a long time. That one's a tough one. It's a minimum 10 days, and all you do is drink basically lemonade and lemon juice and syrup or maple syrup. So it's supposed to clean out your intestines. Like, it takes everything and just pulls it out.
Okay.
So I believe in fasts and controlling what you eat. Exercise is a big thing. But exercise isn't just for weight control and weight. Like, exercise is good for your mind. It helps you to, I'm sure you've heard, like, if you exercise and then try to study, it helps you to learn. It helps you to learn. It's a stress reliever. It's something that I feel that I should never have an excuse not to do. But sometimes I fall off the wagon and I don't exercise. But when I do exercise, it feels amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I wish exercise was more addictive. It can be, but I wish it was a little bit more. So you can never stop. Where I gain weight is when I eat snacks at night. That's my downfall. Anything after 8 I eat is probably putting on weight. So if I don't eat after 8, that's a big thing for me. Everybody's different, but for me, if I don't eat late at night, I'm on a healthy track.
Right.
Yeah. So health is really a combination of a bunch of things, I find. It's a combination of exercising, combination of eating the right foods, and combination of eating at the right time.
Yeah.
So.
And how did you stay so disciplined 2 years ago?
Routine. Sticking to a routine. I developed a routine. I even had it on my iPad, my calendar. I had a certain routine. I had a routine when I get up. I'd get up at the same time every day. I had a routine when I got up. Like, I even wrote it down. Like, I'd get up, drink a liter of water, go exercise, come back, get ready for the day, work for the day, eat. And then I had a nighttime routine too. So I made sure to shower, maybe stretch again, and try to go to bed at the same time. I found to stay disciplined, you needed a routine. If you followed that routine closely, like 80-90%, that was much easier to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. I find I can't stay healthy if I don't have a routine. If I'm just like, oh, what am I going to do today? Then nothing gets done.
Right. So with your routine, was there days where you really didn't want to get out of bed and you were just like, oh, I can't keep going like this? Or was that not an issue because you were so determined?
No, that's definitely an issue. Yeah. That's definitely an issue.
So how did you overcome that?
Little tricks. I'm not a morning person. I do not like getting up in the morning. But I train better in the morning. I find if I work out in the morning, I lose more weight, I feel better for the day. And so that's a battle. Always is and always will be. Mm-hmm. If I can get up, I was getting up sometimes at 4 and training by 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
The way to overcome it, tricks. You got to trick yourself. You really got to it's the toughest part is it's just getting out of bed. Once you're out of bed and moving, you're fine.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Once you get out and you're moving, then it's easy. It's the getting out of bed. So I use tricks like I put my phone across the room and have the alarm. The only way to turn it off. And then to get to my phone, I'd have my workout clothes and my shoes ready to go. Mm-hmm. So it's a preparation is a big thing. So once you start moving, once you get your clothes on, once you get your music in your ears, music is a big thing. I have to have music. Once you get the music in your ears, and then I would even say people used to see me walking to the gym at 4:30. I was still asleep. I would wake up on the treadmill. So yeah, that's the way I did it. I just tricked myself. And then after a little while, it becomes a habit. You start just waking up at 4:30. But in the beginning, it's always difficult. If I start training today, I'll go through the exact same thing all over again. I have to do the same tricks, get myself going, and turn it into a habit, into a routine.
Right. So you said that you have read some books, not that many, but you've read some. So what's your favorite book and like that you would recommend to somebody who is looking?
Actually, the book that you gave me was an excellent book. The Slight Edge, I think it was called.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Why did you love it?
Because it broke things. Like, people think it's to accomplish any big goal, it's small steps, really. And that's what that book was all about. And I liked it. And it's the small little things that you do each day, compounded, added. Like, if that 1%, if you do a 1% more every day, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. You see it when you train, you see it when you study. But if you don't do it, the slight edge works the opposite way. If you're not doing anything, you're getting a little bit worse every day. You're getting a little bit worse every day. You're getting a little bit worse every day. At this point in my life, I've seen it happen both ways. So I think a lot of books that I read are similar, and I just pick them up when I need them. But that was a really good book, The Slight Edge, and I don't really have a list of books that I've gone. The one that comes off the top of my head, actually, I was going to start reading it again, because even it says in the book you should read it every once in a while, because you pick up different things in the book each time.
Right, depending on where you are in your life, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like to read books about other people's struggles, some autobiographies. Those are always good to see how other people have lived their life.
Yeah.
But any book that kind of reminds me of it's small steps, do 1%, get better 1% every day. Anything kind of along those lines, those have always helped. Those are good books to help you move on. Anything on not keeping good time, but what's the word I'm looking for? Time management.
Okay, yeah.
Any books on time management is always good. Being efficient. I like books like that, because that's where I help develop my schedules during the day. Like, you have 100 million things to do. It feels like you can never accomplish all of it. But if you put it into a schedule and you have good time management, it becomes more straightforward. It becomes a lot easier. You can really just pick things off. So,
yeah, and again, that's breaking it down, right? So you have
exactly.
what you want, and then you're breaking it down into a schedule.
Exactly. I'm a simple man. Once I break it down to the simple aspects of it, then I can go at it.
Yeah, so. Awesome. What would you say was like the happiest point in your life? If you had one, you probably had many where you were on a high, but would you say that there was a big part in your life where you were very happy, and why were you like that?
I can't really break it down to one, because I'm the happiest when we're at family functions, when we don't have a schedule, when we're just hanging out, when we're eating food and having a couple of drinks or sitting by a fire. Like, that makes it all worth it. All of those moments put together is my happiest moment.
I'm just wondering what your hopes for the future are for you in terms of maybe career or family. I'm curious to see what, maybe if you're in a transition phase, or what the next step looks like for you.
I would say I'm definitely in a transition phase. As far as work, I think I'm a bit of a transition phase for work. I'm kind of like, I've thought about starting my own company. I've taken a step towards that. I want to contract on my own and work for different companies. So I want to expand my skills. Like I said, I want another ticket. I'm really going to work towards that this fall, is acquiring another ticket so I can expand my own business.
Right.
So work-wise, family-wise, I think it's just guiding the boys into the next step of their life. Isaiah, my oldest, he's on the university track. Elijah is working and trying to discover what he's doing. And then Jonah is in the last year of his high school, trying to decide what he wants to go to next. I mean, he really wants to play baseball, but baseball isn't the end all be all of life. So we need some direction there. Right. So it's just guiding, really. I'm at the guiding point of family, and spending more time with my wife, Anna. So those are my goals for this year.
And if I heard you right, you said you're leaning towards starting your own business, which to me is,
I know you'd like that.
Amazing. But here's why. Let me tell you why. Because I remember sitting down talking with you, and you were like, I don't think I'll ever do it because I'm a dreamer. And I was like, you gotta just do it, Ash. Like, I can see it in you. Like, you would be so great. And when those words came out of your mouth, I was like, oh my goodness, that is so exciting. Because
Yeah, so
like,
I've taken the first step. I
yeah.
have a business number and a business name that's registered. So yeah, I have to get some insurance and a GST number, and then I'm ready to go.
Wow, that is just so amazing and exciting. Wow, congratulations. That's cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. All right, so I guess this will be one of the last questions I ask before we go into the 4 questions that I ask everyone. But if you could turn back time, was knowing what you know now, would you change anything? Would you do anything differently?
No.
Okay.
This was my journey. This is my path. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, I love that answer because I think like sometimes people ask like, do you regret doing certain things? And I'm like, no, because every single thing I've done has helped me get to where I am today. And even if it was difficult or, I put a lot of effort in and nothing paid off, it was still a learning tool for me to grow.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. What is some of the best advice you've received and from who?
The best advice I think I got from my mother. And that is, I was struggling, I think, with a financial or budget issue. And I think her advice was, she turned around and said, you finally actually came and asked for help. I didn't struggle anymore on my own. A lot of times I try to figure stuff all out on my own. And the best advice that I ever got was ask for help when you need it.
Yeah, that is great advice. I second that. Okay, next question. What is the worst advice you've ever received?
Ooh. Somebody told me that something's going to be easy or something's going to be done in 5 minutes.
Yes, that's a good one.
When somebody says it's going to be easy, this will be no problem, you bet that is bad advice.
There's always going to be an issue that could arise.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, next question. What advice would you give your younger self, or if you can't think of it in that way, maybe someone in a younger generation?
Advice to my younger self or somebody younger, younger generation is, there will be challenges in life. Mm-hmm. Be patient, learn from them. And if you really want something, if you really desire it, and you concentrate on it, it will happen for you. 100%. You got to focus on it. You gotta do the steps to get towards it. You can't just wish something for yourself. I know there's books out there that say you just think it into existence, but I don't believe that 100% true. I think you do think things into existence, but because you think about it so much, you start taking actions. Mm-hmm. So my advice to people is set a goal. There will be challenges. Think about it every day, but take action. You got to take action towards what you want. Otherwise, it will never happen.
Yeah, I love that. That is actually like the best, like that's beautiful advice. I think that, for me, that reflects so greatly because I think, you're right. We're told all the time just to like manifest things and just think about it and it'll come. But I think the second piece to it is actually taking the action, which is the most important piece. So I think that's great advice.
Action could be as simple as just writing down what you want. And that's the first step to action. But once you take that first step, then the other steps seem to fall into place. So, and that works for everything. That's my health, work, career, family. It applies to all of it. So
Absolutely.
I find like when you do make goals and stuff, you should make goals for all areas of your life. There's a big one too. Don't just always think about work or don't just always think about school. Make goals for every part of your life. Mm-hmm. Relationships, health, school, work, wherever you are in life, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's also great advice. Thank you. Okay, last question for you. So What is something you are grateful for in your life today?
Everything. I'm thankful for everything. I'm thankful for everything that's been given to me. I'm thankful for everything I've achieved. I'm thankful for the path that I'm still walking towards. Everything that comes to me, I'm thankful for because I've lived a good life. and I have no complaints about it. Like I said, I have no regrets. So I'm pretty much thankful for everything that I got.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so fun interviewing you and hearing about your career and your family and your journey. It was so amazing. And I think that it's going to help the audience a lot. And you gave so many golden nuggets in there that were just so amazing. So thank you for joining me today.